Welcome this afternoon for this Stones bitter clash between Wakefield Trinity and Salford here at wet and windy Bellevue. I'm Ian Brook, Dave Wanless is with me, and Steve Ramsbottom from Salford for their comments during the game. I'll introduce David and he'll quickly go through the teams. Salford are on the pitch already, Wakefield about to prepare in such a vital clash for both sides. In the lower reaches, Wakefield in 9th, but Salford 6 on the trot they've lost, so they'll be hoping for 2 points this afternoon. So David, the teams.
That's right, Ian, and good afternoon everyone here at Bellevue. Salford in 11th position in the league then, and as Ian says, 6 successive defeats, so they'll be looking to try and gain their first victory this afternoon against Wakefield Trinity then. Their side this afternoon, much changed from the programme. At number 1 is Steve Gibson, at 2 Tex Evans, 3 Steve Blakely, 4 John Gilfillan, 5 Phil Ford, and the half-back pairing of 6 Wayne Reid and 7 Craig Coleman. The forwards then, at 8 David Young, 9 is Mark Lee, 10 Jed Stazika, 11 Rob Ackerman, 12 Ian Blease, 13 Jason Critchley, 14 Martin Burkitt and 15 Arthur Bradshaw. Referee today is Robin Whitfield. He's just shaking hands at the moment with the 2 captains from the respective sides, and the Wakefield side this afternoon is at number 1 Gary Spencer, 2 James Mosley, 3 Andy Mason, 4 Phil Eden, 5 David Jones, 6 Mark Conway and 7 is Jeff Bagnall. He's the captain this afternoon. The forwards then, 8 Darren Fritz, 9 Billy Conway, 10 Mark Webster, 11 Michael Jackson, 12 Gary Price, 13 Nigel Bell, and at 14 then the return of Richard Slater. He comes back from injury, and at 15 is Paul Round. I think he's still struggling from a little knock that he got at the good victory, midweek victory in at Hull.
Just before the game gets underway, Salford going to kick off towards the popular end, Wakefield playing down to the dressing room ends. I'll just bring Steve in for a quick word on Salford. What are their prospects today then, Steve?
Well, one can only hope that this is the game that Salford are going to turn a corner. Like you say, 6 defeats on the trot, and unfortunately some of those have been very heavy defeats, but hope springs eternal. A few changes in the side, and I'm sure we'll see a much better performance from Salford than we have seen over the last 2 or 3 games. The layoff in December, they had 32 days without a match, and there was some rustiness, I think, in the 2 previous games, but hopefully we'll see a return to the form that actually brought them a victory here last season in the Regal Trophy, although they lost in the league. But looking forward to this game from both points of view. Wakefield are very strong outfit and clearly the favourites.
Thanks very much, Steve. We'll bring in as the game progresses as Wakefield in their own 20, and it's Gary Spencer just caught on the 20-metre line there. Andy Mason goes in at acting half-back, and conditions today, David, probably play a part in proceedings, I would think. The wind, a swirling wind, and I don't know whether Wakefield are playing with it, as Conway's just kicked down to that far side of the pitch and goes into touch just over the halfway line.
It looks to be blowing from right to left as we look at it, just get an indication from the actual corner flags, Ian, and it's a very stiff and strong breeze towards the dressing room ends, sorry, the dugout ends. It's very, very wet and slippery, so you'll probably see a lot of kicks pointed down towards the ground and slipping on the surface into the corners to make life very, very difficult for the wingers and the fullbacks, so that'll probably play a significant part from both sides.
Mr. Wakefield just caught out there at the scrum. He was on the Salford half, and Wakefield were actually defending. He'll probably watch the video on that and have a little chuckle to himself. So here comes Salford then. Mark Lee, acting half back there. He'll be linking with Coleman. They set up the Salford attacks, but Lee puts that lovely grubber kick in towards that far corner. Nice kick there, and Coleman, Steve, architect and most that Salford do, I believe.
That's right, involved in everything, looking for men off him. Today he's got Wayne Reid playing in what was Wayne Reid's position at standoff last season. It's young man Steve Blakely, who came from Wigan A-team, who's established himself in that position, established himself as a goal kicker, and it'd be good to see Wayne Reid and Coleman back together again.
Thanks, Steve. So Wakefield successful with that scrum as Wakefield then trying to break clear as Jackson's into the gap. He's got plenty of pace as this lad. Jackson looking for support, floats the ball over to Mason, but Wakefield still on the attack through Nigel Bell, but a lovely break there from Michael Jackson, and getting a good round of applause there from the crowd. But getting back to his best form, Michael Jackson, as Wakefield hit this blind side. Mark Conway looking for a way through, and already the crowd, Salford supporters shouting about Gil Fillon, telling him to get stuck in as big Darren Fritz makes a lovely break. Still going is Big Fritz. He's a hard lad to stop once he gets that momentum going. The lad who tried to stop him in midfield looks like he's down hurt. So Wakefield near to the Salford 20. Out to Andy Mason. Andy Mason getting outside his man, just trying to pass to Mosley. Hit the Salford man. That could be back to one. It is Mr. Whitfield there, waving his arm above his head, signalling that's back to one. So Mosley then. Ball's gone back. It's another back to one as Bagnall breaks up this far side. Little mistake there from the young lad, but at least the ball did go back. So Wakefield then trying to launch another attack through Jackson, tries a little sidestep, goes again, lovely little ball, moves it out wide to David Jones, who's on the left wing as he was on Wednesday night against Hull. Looks like here comes Big Fritz now. He's on the charge towards the line, 2-3 metres short. So Wakefield showing plenty of enthusiasm this afternoon in such an early stage of the game, wanting to get quickly the points on the board. Bagnall inside. That looks like Nigel Bell that's just tackled, and Wakefield about 8 metres short of the line. Here comes Bagnall. He's switched it back to the blind. Phil Eden, bad ball out. David Jones just stops it from going to touch. And Salford, some of the tackling's a little bit missing in certain areas, but Wakefield still applying the pressure. Still hoping for that score as Mark Conway looking for a drop off, and he's met strongly there by Stazika. That was a beautiful crunching tackle, a bell ringer so to speak, David.
It certainly was. Mark Conway thought he was clear there, little shoulder, little dummy inside, but Stazika was having nothing of that, and he hit him full-blooded with the shoulder and knocked Mark Conway straight down to the ground. But enterprising rugby shown already from Wakefield Trinity in these early stages, Ian.
High kick there, Phil Eden caught inside that 10 metre, so it's a penalty to Salford. Just getting outside their 20 metre line. So Salford, Steve, just weathered the storm a little bit there.
Yes, it looked as though on at least 2 occasions Wakefield had found that decisive cutting edge, but full credit to the Salford defence, full credit to the cover. They didn't stop that time. They missed perhaps 1 or 2 tackles, but the vital tackles were made and a score was prevented. And I think in the light of Salford's performances recently, that is a great improvement. Great credit to Salford in that defending spree.
And sometimes, David, a tackle like Stazika's sometimes uplifts you, gives you that bit of confidence in defence.
It certainly does. A good crunching tackle can lift not just the player that's done it, but the whole side, and it can knock the confidence of a ball carrier like Mark Conway. We'll just have to see how that unfolds, whether Mark will continue to boss the game as he's done in these early stages, or whether Salford will in fact get on top in their defence.
So Wakefield then penned inside their own 20. Salford hoping they put the pressure on, they put the defensive patterns in play, but Wakefield are breaking out again through Bagnall. He's dodging run upfield, looking for support, finds it in Mason. Mason then on the charge, getting to halfway. So Wakefield finding the gaps there from their own 20, breaking out well, looking dangerous. Some of Salford players still getting back. It's 13, that's Critchley, who's it looks to be carrying an arm injury, Steve tells me there. He was the man that was hurt before, so probably not fully recovered. And he's taking his time getting up there. We're on the 5th and last. Mark Conway with that left-footed kick down towards that bottom corner. David Jones gives chase, but ball going into touch, so that's going to be a 10-metre scrum, and Salford quick to make the substitution, Steve.
Yes, and Critchley is going to be a loss to Salford. He's played so well since he came over from Widnes, either in the centre, and this is his first game in the forwards. But that was very clear, incisive rugby from Wakefield, taking them from inside their own 20 and now into this strong attacking position in Salford's 20.
Thanks, Steve. And substitution there. Bradshaw's on for Jason Critchley. Got a bit of a knock, shoulder or arms, hip region. So Salford then, a little bit of a juggle there with the ball, but getting up to the 20-metre line. Coleman got to get going and makes a lovely break there. Looking for support, finds it through Gibson, the full-back. Good tackle on his opposite number though from Gary Spencer, but a beautiful break from Craig Coleman. Little dummy looking for the break, and loose ball flying about there, and could have been a Wakefield possession, but Salford quick to it, retain possession, so they're inside the Wakefield half, centre field, good 8 metres inside Wakefield half. And now another little kick down from Mark Lee. That's 2 he's made already in the game, Steve, and it looks to be the tactics, but a nice break from Coleman.
Oh, definitely. He found the opening and went through, and it was good support play from Steve Gibson and a vital last-ditch tackle, because if that tackle hadn't been made, then you could have envisaged that Gibson, if not getting over, would have made obviously much more ground to the post. But as it is, it's Wakefield with the chance to get possession from this scrum.
Which they do, and Jones gets it, comes centre field. So it's Wakefield then. Can they get out of the 20 as good as they did last time? People on this complaining just that the arm looked to be swinging a little bit as Mark Webster hits that strong wall of Salford defence. The Red Devils there. So Big Fritz then, wide running, but spotted well by the Salford defence this time, and Mr. Whitfield taking them down a good 10 there, David, and it really does open the game up, does this new 10-metre law?
It certainly does, because there's been about 4 or 5 clear-cut breaks in this game so far. Coleman, the last one, which was very, very obvious, the Wakefield Trinity defence moved up very, very slowly towards him. He showed them the dummy, and they took it, and he went some 40 or 50 metres upfield. But there have been clear-cut chances. Jackson's made a clear break, Bagnall's made a couple. So if Mr. Whitfield's consistent here, we could be in for an entertaining game.
Yes, and he'll keep the game flowing. Well, Robin, he's a good one for playing the advantage. So Salford then trying a little bit of individual play just round that centre field region. It's Coleman that's tackled in possession. Mark Lee's gone in acting half-back. Stasica then moving it out. But not much penetration there from Salford. It's the Welsh international, David Young, is playing the ball. Mark Lee then runs off, lovely little dummy from acting half-back. Looked forward pass there, but when you're that 10 metres in front, sometimes they're hard to pick up, and Mr. Whitfield spotting, I think it was head high there, David, as the winger came in off touch. Tex Evans there.
Yes, Evans stepped inside, and Bagnall clung round his higher region. Mr. Whitfield says that it was higher than the shoulders and round the head area, and he's just indicated that, so that gives Salford the chance to kick for touch, and they're on the 10-metre line from the Trinity line, and they've got 6 plays, Ian.
So we can see if the Wakefield defence can hold out as Salford get to within 5 metres of the Trinity line. Using their forwards for that initial burst with Blaze, and moving it out left here. They look to have a overlap and shrugging tackles off, but still this side, this left-hand side, they've got enough players if they can move it quick, but they're going in from acting half-back and they're trying it, but they're still managing to release the ball in the tackle, but actually losing a little bit of ground, a couple of metres there, so still with a chance, and a long ball out to that right-hand side. But it's good Wakefield defence. We're on the 5th and last. There'll be a little grubber kick, no, a little short ball out there, but they've lost the ball, they've lost possession, and Wakefield from David Jones. But Steve, a few lacking in ideas when they got close to the Wakefield line there.
Yeah, regrettably, that's been the story of the recent matches for Salford. But full credit to the Wakefield defence. The Wakefield just didn't let them move with that ball, didn't give them the running chances, didn't allow the opening to be created, and recover possession and save what might have been a try.
Thanks, Steve. As Big Fritz then just getting out of his own 20, that a danger area. Sides like to get out of there as quickly as they can and not to lose possession like that, and that's a bad mistake from Gary Price. He's quickly back in defence as Coleman moves it out to Gilfillan on this wing, and there's Phil Ford here, danger man, can score tries from any situations we saw when we played at Salford, David.
Yes, he can. He's got a very, very elusive sidestep, and he's also got bags of pace as well, Ian. So if he comes off that foot and he can step, just as Tex Evans has done there, but the difference between Ford and Evans is that Ford's got about 3 yards on Evans, and he can score from almost anywhere, Ian.
So here comes Salford, taking it in straight again up that middle, thinking probably they can break their Wakefield defence around that region. I notice Phil Ford's running across the back of the fields, going over onto that right-hand side. There he is now, that's his first touch of the ball, so here he comes, elusive runner, gives the ball back inside. Still keeping the ball alive, Salford. They're making the mistake there, losing the ball in such a prominent position, Steve.
Yeah, but some ideas that time from Salford, and it was good to see Phil Ford looking for the ball. But it's Wakefield again in possession, and they've shown they can dangerous from any part of this field.
Thanks, Steve. As Jones then with possession, still in the Wakefield 20. Been pegged here a little while now, Wakefield. David, lost possession a couple of times.
That's right, they have, and obviously trying to force it out of their own 20 on a couple of occasions. They've tried just to force that extra few yards in, and they've dropped the ball just as they did in the early stages against Castleford, and it gives Salford the initiative. But so far, entertaining game, although there's no score.
So Mark Webb still looking for support, and that could be a bit dangerous. Gary Price there having to go back on it, and quickly pulled down by Mark Lee, who was spotted that, but half a yard there could have been dangerous for Wakefield. Mark Conway to Gary Spencer. Gary Spencer makes the kick down. Gibson is going to let that go in a touch, and as you can see the wind taking that across to the dugout region. Quickly that ball bounced, and it was straining a touch, and Lee Robinson just coming onto the field is going to have a look at Gary Price. I think he got a little bit of a knock, but the scrum's going to be on the halfway line over the far side. It's going to be Salford head and ball, so hopefully they will win this possession. As Gary Price then walking slowly back. Salford, there they are. Tex Evans comes round on the loop, picks it off Coleman, big strong lad. Coleman gets it back, moves it wide to Gibson, who's linked inside to Gil Fillan. Gil Fillan, 12 minutes inside the Wakefield half. Coleman then gives it to Lee. That's Reid now with the ball. He's little dummy, but making good yardage. Floodlights just been turned on. It's Salford still probing round that play the ball area. Here they come again, checking it up straight inside to Coleman. He's got to Gibson on the run. Timed that to perfection. Another short ball there. That could be a try to Salford. That's a good support play from Salford. Who scored? Reid. That's Blakely that scored. I'll just hand over to Steve. He can take you through that try then, Steve. Good quick try there for Salford.
Well, he was, and Salford were putting the moves together very well then. It was Gibson who made the first break, and it looked as though his progress had been impeded, but he had man in support, and it was Blakely on the end of it. Steve Blakely, and perhaps whilst he's lining up for this kick, because he can't hear me, perhaps let me tell you that this chap has got the most amazing goal-kicking record since he's joined Salford, because he's actually at a 100% record. He's had 11 attempts, and every single one has been successful, and that must be something of a record around the leagues. It has to be said that most of them have been from relatively straightforward situations, but nevertheless it is certainly a fine achievement for anybody at any standard of rugby in this day and age. Let's just pause for a second, and he's there. So that's 6-0 for Salford. We've had about 15 minutes play. Salford withstood that early pressure. They've had the better of the last 10 minutes.
Let's see if he gets another shot, David. Hopefully he won't, but I'm being biased. So it's Coleman then, a nice kick down towards where David Jones goes. But yes, as Steve said, Salford that last 10 minutes did get on top of the game after Wakefield promised so much in the early stages.
Yes, I think you're right. For the first 6 or 7 minutes here, Wakefield Trinity looked to be the best footballing side by far, made far more breaks than what Salford did in the attempt to be on the rack. But they've actually clawed their way back into this game, and they've managed to establish themselves in it. They've cut down on the mistakes, and a good well-worked try here, and what Blakely finished.
So Wakefield then gives it Fritz, gets that off Bagnall. Wakefield now 6-0 down. We're going 16-17 minutes. That's a bad ball there. Tricky conditions, but it's the same for both sides, and Salford have managed to get over that whitewash. So it's down to Conway. That's a good kick down towards where Gibson takes in inside his own 20, runs it out. Robin Whitfield there waving play on. He's made the 10 metres, and Billy Conway quick round the acting half-back. A little bit dubious there whether he was squared on or not. Mr. Whitfield just showing from his signal there he thought he was. As Salford there, a mistake, losing possession, bad areas of the field to lose possession. And it's Wakefield then with the scrum, centre field, 30 metres out from the line. Can they put anything on at this scrum? Conway moves the other way, and Bagnall comes this side away from his support, but here comes Jackson on there, taking the ball wide off of Mason, gets to the 20-metre line. Wakefield quickly hoping to get back into the game as Nigel Bell takes that towards the post, wanting to get the 6 points back very quickly if possible. Mark Webster spotting a gap on the charge is Mark. That's a good run from the number 10 there today. And there comes Wakefield then. That looks like Big Fritz, looks high. And what's happened there? Mr. Whitfield has he's given the penalty for the high. It looked pretty high there, David.
That's right, but Robin Whitfield, being the experienced referee that he is, he just let play travel on a little bit there, thinking that Fritz may take advantage, and managed to dive over at the side of the post. But when there was no chance of that, he blew up straight away, and the penalty was given to Wakefield Trinity for that head-high tackle. And Mark Conway's been given the chance to have a pot at goal. And the sticks here are absolutely really waving about in this wind, so that gives you an indication of just how strong it is. And it gives a chance for Wakefield to cut the deficit now from 6 points to 0 to 6 points to 2, and we've just gone 20 minutes in this game.
Thanks, David. Giving Mr. Whitfield a little bull up. It won't be because we've had a little chat with him beforehand, would it? I hope we're not greasing. Sorry about that, Robin, when you're watching it on Tuesday. Looks like he's missed it. So, as we say, Steve, they're not all easy, are they?
No, something of a let-off for Salford. The tackle was high, but there was nothing malicious or intentional about it. It was a man in full flow on the charge for the line. It was a last-ditch tackle and a let-off for Salford. Salford breathe again, 6 points to 0 in the lead.
So that's a good drop kick out, which Gary Spencer feels and brings back to within 9 metres of the halfway line. But difficulty there from Mark Conway to put that ball up, and had to have somebody to hold it. And Jackson there made a nice break up the centre. And here comes Nigel Bell, finding a few gaps up that centre field, not capitalising on the good approach work out Wakefield at times. Here comes Gary Price. Gary Price still going, making inroads into the Salford defence, but it's holding out so far. But Mason there spotting the defence, going in from acting half-back as Bagnall then spots it. David Jones tries a little kick for himself, but Salford quick to spot it, make the tackle and cover the ball from the kick. So they're inside their own 20. Some hard work from the forwards. David Young here trying to clear their 20-metre line, 20-metre area. Here they come out on the outside. Plenty of chance here to move it to this right-hand side. Comes Gibson inside to Gilfillan. It's Markley again acting half-back. Another kick down towards that right-hand side, and he's spotted the angles well as Markley so far. That's been some excellent kicking from the hooker, David.
Before the game started in, I said that the kicking game of both sides would play a significant part in this game, and even in this early stages both teams have been using the kick, the low kick down towards the corners. We've seen a lot of that happen, and I'm sure we'll continue to see that happen during the course of the game. So the wingers on that side of the field here will be very, very busy this afternoon.
So Wakefield with Billy Conway. Billy Conway spots a little gap. He can run this lad if he gets going. Getting a good round of applause there. Here comes Salford then. Big Fritz again up centre. He's spotted a gap. He's going for it. Gets over into the Salford half. Mr. Whitfield getting the Salford players back. But Bagnall moves it wide to Spencer. Bagnall again dummies. Finds a little gap to Conway. Then to Fritz. Fritz wanting it to move. Gets it now to Mason. Gives it to Billy Conway. Billy Conway dummies to kick, gets to the 20-metre line on the fifth and last. So what will Wakefield do? Will they run it or go for the little kick? And Mark Conway puts a little kick over across towards that corner, and that's going to be touch and go.
Any chance really to make an attack on this flank here? Had the ball have come out sooner, Mosley could have been in for a try in the corner to add to the 2 that he scored at Hull on Wednesday.
So 25 minutes gone, Salford in the lead by 6 points to 0. Well satisfied, Steve, are you so far by Salford's performance?
Oh, definitely. And this is that man, Reid, that has, I think, played such an important part this afternoon, and there he was featuring in that attack and creating some useful ground. He and but Wakefield looking dangerous at all stages. But yes, so far so good, thank you.
So one happy man in the box here. So one happy man in the box with us, David, at Salford. So let's hope we can get 2 happy men in you and me. As Wakefield then fumbling, and Mr. Whitfield there says that went back, but not the fluency in the Wakefield game. They seem to have just lost a little bit over these last 10 or 15 minutes, David.
They certainly have. Anybody that was that went to the Castleford match and went to the Hull match, they'll have seen a Wakefield side playing absolute superb rugby league football, and that just bounced on the line in, so the touch judge right to bring play back. But they saw some absolutely superb, fluent playing rugby, and they've just not seen that today. Maybe it's down to the really, really windy conditions, I don't know, but both sides now should have had a feel of the conditions and should be used to them. So let's just see how the game unfolds.
Not making any excuses, David, but sometimes when you have a midweek batch, then the weekend performance doesn't seem to crack up to be, does it?
Well, it doesn't, Ian, but I think the conditions are playing a big part. We know how strong the wind is, but this Salford side now starting to get a grip on this game and starting to show Wakefield how to play football.
So it's Craig Coleman then. This is Bradshaw taking it in there. Nice ball from Coleman to it. Made a good 15 metres there towards the Wakefield 20, and it's Coleman again. Getting the sides up, gives it back to Young. Young then to Stasiker, back to Coleman. Coleman tries a floated ball, it comes off for them. And they could be in the corner there as Tex Evans comes through. He's going to be over there, is Tex Evans. Wakefield committed, somebody went for the interception. Steve is doing backflips here in the commentary position with us. He's not being biased at all, really, but he's nearly knocked me and David there out of the way. I'll hand him on to Steve now just to go through the try then, Steve.
Well, there were just so many players involved, I just couldn't possibly remember them all. But first of all, my emotion was relief that long pass out there wasn't intercepted by a Wakefield player, because it looked as though they almost got a hand to it. But when it went out there was the man over for Salford. Blakely kept his cool over there, passed on to Tex Evans. It looked for a second as though Tex Evans might have dropped the ball, but he held on to it and then did what he can do so well. He came inside his man, used his strength and his pace to get over for Salford's second try of the game, as we have had something like 28 minutes play, and that really is come in at an excellent time from Salford. They've had to withstand a fair bit of Wakefield pressure, not just at the start of the game, but also in the last 10 minutes, and to come back and score a try really is a tremendous credit to the whole of the Salford team to do that. And so it's here at the moment with 10 points to Salford and Wakefield Trinity not yet on the scoreboard, and we'll find out whether Mr. Blakely can keep up his 100% record. Very, very difficult kicking conditions. We can see that the ball is falling over. We saw that Conway's effort from a much easier position, not quite in front of the posts, was moved a long way by the wind. And it will be interesting to see just how well Steve Blakely can fare with this conversion attempt. So Steve Blakely scored one of the tries, scored the Salford first try, and at the end of the move timed his pass on to Evans exactly at the right moment to give Evans the opportunity to run in from the 20-metre line, which Evans did successfully. The conversion attempt, a very difficult one. In the wind, it moves around, and no, goes just to the side of the post, but an excellent effort in these conditions. So a surprising scoreline in many ways. Wakefield 0, Salford 10.
Thanks, Steve. So Wakefield just about to make a substitution. It's Paul Round who's coming on.
Salford 10. Wakefield substitution number 15, Paul Round, for number 10, Mark Webster.
And Mark Webster has gone off, replaced by, as we say, Paul Round. So Wakefield, David, 10-0 down, got to get their act together pretty quick. You'd think they want to score before half-time at least.
That's right, Ian. Just before half-time is the right time to score to try and get back at sides. But Wakefield Trinity, after the early pressure in the first 10-15 minutes, haven't looked the side that they have been against Hull and Castleford, and I do keep reflecting on those games because Wakefield were absolutely superb in those games, and they've just got to try and find the form that earned 3 points out of those two fixtures. They've got to find that form quickly and get quickly back on this scoreboard.
So then it's Salford then. Here they come on the charge. Mark Lee getting it out to that right-hand side again, and it's Tex Evans with a clear run again, but that right-hand side, Davey, there looks to be a fair few gaps in the Wakefield defence.
That's right, Ian. The right-hand side, Wakefield Trinity's left-hand side, Salford's right-hand side, it's been breached a few times now, so David Jones and Phil Eden are really going to have to tighten up their defensive roles, because Salford are finding gaps at will there, and while ever they continue to do that, they'll keep attacking down that right-hand side.
Mark Lee puts up and under in, tricky in these conditions, and Wakefield's lost the ball. Oh, and a glaring mistake there. I think it was Phil Eden actually that dropped that ball and had a chance there of scoring it. Salford picked the ball up, but a back pass, Steve, goes straight in the touch with a chance of a gaping chance there.
Certainly, it was a first tackle situation. The kick was just perfection again, and it would have been another very good attacking position for Salford. As it is, it's Wakefield who can bring the ball away.
Thanks, Steve. Yes, and use the tackles well. 5 tackles. Salford coming full length of the field there, David, from their own 20-metre line. As I think this rule now with the 10 metres, it's letting sides being able to do that, isn't it?
It certainly is, but both sides know that they've got to get back to 10 metres. They know that they've got to cover the full length and the full width of this pitch to stop any team from scoring. But at the moment, Wakefield Trinity's left-hand side of the field seems very, very weak, and Salford are exploiting it to the full through this very, very powerful wingman, Tex Evans.
So we're on the 5th and last. So here comes Conway's going to kick down. That's going straight to where Gibson is. And he actually just slips on the turf there. Phil Eden able to complete the tackle. Evans comes inside for a run off his wing. Seen plenty of the ball this afternoon, the right winger for Salford. It's David Young there. Just lose the ball there in the tackle. That's a knock on. Mr. Whitfield just signalling there. Probably the strength of the tackle there, just releasing the ball from Young's hand, and we're getting close to half-time. Probably 10 minutes to go there, so Wakefield hoping from this scrum and resulting tackles that they can get back towards that Salford try line and hopefully get across it, which they haven't managed to do in 32 minutes so far of this first half here at Bellevue. Here comes Jackson on the charge. Dummies Fritz gets it, don't actually bend his back for it, and that's got to be a knock-on. So Wakefield going from bad to worse, I feel, David. Just not getting that together at all.
Very, very lethargic in the way that they're approaching this game. They are 10 points to 0 down. You would think that they were 10 points to 0 up. So they've got to really get a grip on the game. They've got to shake themselves a little bit and get into this try-scoring mode that happened at the Boulevard and at Weldon Road in the previous games. At the moment, then, Salford enjoying a really, really good spell and looking like the side that's further up the table than what Wakefield are.
Cries of knock-on there, Mr. Whitfield having none of it. As Gibson makes inroads, he's looking a very useful runner there. He's bringing it upfield as Coleman gets his side going again. Stasica met by a strong tackle, looks to have lost the ball, but Mr. Whitfield's giving a knock-on there. David says it could have been offside, the Salford player, but he gave the knock-on. And the feature about this, David, is that Wakefield's last two performances, both being very good, but both being away from Bellevue. And the last performance here at Bellevue was something like this against Old KR. So is it the home advantage factor that Wakefield probably not getting geared up to?
You would think that almost any team playing at home would up the performance. It wasn't the case, as you say, as against Hull Kingston Rovers, and it certainly isn't the case for the first 33 minutes here at Bellevue today. Their away performances has been far in excess better than their home performances, but there's still a long way to go in this game, Ian, and they're not playing that bad. It's just that they just need to be tighter, less lethargic, and a little bit more adventurous in the play. Salford are really showing them where the touchlines are, and they're using them well.
So Wakefield with the possession right on the halfway line. That's to Nigel Bell. So Wakefield then inside the Salford territory as Big Fritz takes it up that blind side. Thought he was going to flick the ball out there in the tackle, just couldn't manage it. So we're on the fifth and last. Bagnall puts a little kick in. That's charge down, is it? But Salford gain possession. Crowdy shouting offside. Any opinions on that, David?
If he was going to be offside, it had to be a scrum down. It was accidental offside. The ball did strike the Salford man, and the Salford chappie that picked it up, he was in front of the man that it hit. So he was offside accidentally, but Mr. Robin Whitfield, after we've praised him for all his efforts in this game so far, I think he was wrong there.
Well, what can one say? So it's Mark Lee then. Craig Coleman looking for inroads back to Mark Lee, to Stasica. Back inside to Young. Young then on the fifth and last, just inside the Wakefield half. Lee, Coleman with the big high kick. That's got more height, and as you can see, the wind carrying it across the field. But very happy, Steve, at this performance so far.
Oh, most definitely. This is the sort of performance that we were seeing at the start of the season. It was the sort of performance that brought them the double over Castleford, almost a draw at Oddsall Stadium, and 3 other victories. And really, it's great to see them that whatever happens in the rest of this game, this first half has been much improved from Salford.
Thanks, Steve. As Gary Spencer then looking for an opening, and Wakefield nearly caught out at the play of the ball. Some slack play there. Nobody went in at acting half-back, and Salford nearly gained possession. As Bagnall then tries to get some moving, tries to get a pass out that even I don't think Paul Daniels, the magician, could have got one out through there, David.
Certainly couldn't, but that's what happens by trying to push the pace, Ian. Wakefield Trinity desperately need to get on the end of a score here at Bellevue, 10 points to 0 down, and they're trying to do everything that they can, but wherever you can never get a pass in, Ian, you should never do it, because it just puts pressure on your side.
Luckily for Wakefield, they've got on the break on here through Jackson. He's made some outstanding breaks, but a beautiful tackle from full-back Gibson on him, who just lost the ball and given Wakefield position as Jones then from acting half-back sees a gap, goes for it. So Wakefield here on, get the momentum going, on the charge. Can they get that points? Them desperate the need for this first half try as Paul Round looking for support, gets it to Mason. Is Mason in? Yes, Mason's in under the sticks. So that pressure's toll in the end as I'll ask David just to go through that. Good play from Paul Round, but it was Jackson that started off that try-scoring effort there, David.
It certainly was, and what a valuable time to score this try here. Wakefield Trinity back in this game now, just before half-time. It's a crucial time to score a try, but the move started off with Michael Jackson making a superb break through the heart of the Salford defence there, and only a really good cover tackle by this Australian fullback Steve Gibson just thwarted him in his prime there on the 20-metre line. But from the resulting play, the ball, David Jones drove it in, made deep inroads into the Wakefield 20, and from that resulting play, the ball went across. Paul Round, the substitute, made a significant difference since he's come on the field. He went across towards the Salford defence, put Andy Mason through on the short ball, sidestepped off his right foot and went underneath the post, Australian style, dived there through the post, and that puts Wakefield 10 points to 4. Back in this game now, with a chance for Mark Conway to tag on the extra 2. And he's successful this time, so 10 points to 6. Almost on half-time in, Wakefield now back in the game.
Well, at 10-6, David, they're 4 points behind. They're well in the game, as we say. 10-0 down, we're looking a bit sick if they'd gone in at half-time. And I would say that all the goal kickers on both sides this afternoon will be wanting either side, if they're going to score tries, to make sure they're under the stick, Steve, with where the wind's blowing, and the sticks are nearly platting there with the wind.
That's right, but what you were saying about the game being end-to-end before was certainly true, because that try came after Salford had been on attack and put the passes together. Gibson had dropped the ball inside the Wakefield half, and it was 5 play the balls later, and Wakefield has scored, and it really is an entertaining game. And Wakefield never really been out of it, but certainly right back in it now.
Yes, thanks, Steve. And Wakefield then just outside their own 20-metre line. Nigel Bell gives it to young Mosley on this right-hand side. They'll be hoping he can probably score a try like he did on Wednesday night. And Mason there in at acting half-back, and Bagnall got Big Fritz on the drop-off there. So here come Wakefield again, Bagnall to Mark Conway. Gary Price trying a little dummy, but doesn't come off. The Salford defence there alive to it. Mr. Whitfield signalled that ball went back, but it's the 5th and last. It's Conway, little chip over, left foot down, and ball just goes into touch there. Gibson just letting it roll into touch, more or less right on the Salford 20-metre line. But as Steve said, it's been end-to-end stuff. A lot caused by what I think, as much as anything, mistakes, David, from both sides.
Yes, that's right. Obviously the weather playing a significant part in it. A very, very slippy ball combining with a very, very blustery and strong wind. So very difficult conditions for the players here at Bellevue this afternoon. But we've seen 16 points. We've seen the match swing from one try line to the other. So all the supporters that have braved the conditions here this afternoon have seen a very, very entertaining game. And I think the game is evenly poised at 10 points to 6. And we look forward to a really good second half.
Yes, we do, David. So we'll see you all back for the second half. Welcome back for the second half. Mark Conway just kicking off. Both sides finished the first half, starting the second half. No changes as yet. Wakefield 10-6 down. I suppose Dave Topless will have given a bit of a roasting at half-time, David?
Maybe not an utterly big roasting here. I think he'll have given them a severe warning and told them to wake themselves up, certainly around the defensive quarters. But certainly their attacking aspect of the game's been quite good, as we saw just a couple of minutes before the half-time outer when Mason scored that try. So if Wakefield can just brush up on the defence and continue to improve on their attack as they have been doing towards half-time, then things should be fine.
I think Mr. Tomaty will have set out to the Salford players, Steve. What do you think his instruction will have been?
I think it would be carry on as you have been doing. Be aware of the windy conditions, but there's 40 minutes to go. Give it your all. It's a game that's important for Salford to win, and the Wakefield crowd at the end that Wakefield are attacking, definitely making a presence felt, and behind the Wakefield now.
So it's Wakefield then, trying to get back into this game. 10-6 down. There's Nigel Bell brings the ball across to centre field, surrounded by the Salford tacklers, and think they're going to get penalised down there for holding down. Seemed to take him an age to get off there, David.
That's right, it's the first one of the game. He's controlled the play the ball area quite well, as Robin Whitfield. But Salford just took things for granted there and laid on Nigel Bell for far too long. But it's significant to see Mark Conway having a shot at goalie, and the wind must be behind him, and it must be favouring him in terms of the way that it's blowing. He's a left-footed kicker. I'm sure he'll aim just outside the left-hand post for it to...
I was just going to ask you about that, David, whether you think you'd have gone for touch or you'd have took the goal.
Well, I think it's obviously important that Wakefield get within striking distance of Salford, and with it being only a few minutes into the second half, I think the decision with the wind behind Mark, I think it's a good decision, because almost certainly if he misses the shot at goalie, and the ball will travel dead, so Wakefield will get the ball back from the restarting 25 dropout.
Yeah, that's the one thing, David, yeah, but the ball has to go dead, hasn't it?
Yes, it does, Ian, but as I say, the deciding factor, I think, is the strength of the wind that's behind him. I think he'll really put his all into this kick, and I think if he misses it, we'll see it go dead.
Yes, because Wakefield could be back in their own 20 from the dropout. It's looking good, the crowd seem to like it behind the post, and there it's vindicated. That's another 2 points to Wakefield, so 2 points beginning of the second half. So it reduces the arrears now, so it's Wakefield 28, Salford 10, so just 2 points in it. So a vital kick, as David says, under the conditions, probably an excellent kick. So it's going to be Salford to restart, kicking deep down into Wakefield territory. Young Mosley there, young James picks up, gets nearly to the 20-metre line. So trying to back the defence. Michael Jackson having a sound game, he's made a few nice breaks. Fritz getting well spotted, running wide out at the backs. Here comes Paul Round, found a bit of a gap there. We're on the fifth and last. Wakefield 10 metres inside their own half, so it's going to be to Conway to kick down, trying to place his kick, trying to get it over to that right hand side, so the wind will take it as Phil Ford picks up. Always gets a cheer from the crowd when he picks the ball up, David.
Yeah, not many cheers today, because it's only about the second time that he's touched the ball. All the Salford attacks have been coming up the right-hand side in the first half, Salford's right-hand side, and not much up the left, so Phil Ford's not seen a lot of the ball this afternoon.
So here comes Salford then. Still keeping it going, Stasica. Mark Lee goes into acting half-back. Brings it to Evans down this right-hand side, this second half. We're on the fifth and last. Mark Lee again. Coleman fires a long wide ball out, keeping it wide. Salford looking for the gaps. They're on the fifth and last, so they'll be trying to keep the ball alive, looking for support, but not finding it there. Just 20 metres from the... As Gary Spencer then takes the ball up strongly. Wakefield in possession now, wanting to get on a roll, trying to get these 2 points back as Bagnall does a little drop off with Paul Round, then flicks it up for Mason, who took that under pressure, and he did actually well to keep hold of that, David.
Exceptionally well there, because the Salford defence was very, very quickly closing around Andy Mason, and he did well to hold on to it, Ian, very well indeed.
As Gary Price then takes that ball off Mark Conway, brings it back towards this left-hand side, so Wakefield, Billy Conway, Bagnall, run round with Conway, bringing Jackson short, it looked a bit high. Mr. Whitfield right on the spot says, and there he is signalling to the stand that it was across his chest. Jackson, don't think too impressed with that decision, not going to change it. As Bagnall trying to bob and weave. Not been the attacking force he has been of late. Mark Conway hoists a high one. It's all on, and that could be an awkward kick, and Wakefield's got it through Nigel Bell. Nigel Bell going, he's going to score. Well, it just shows under the conditions what a kick can do, David. Wakefield there had good fortune that the kick come back, and Nigel Bell there on hand to score and goes through a side of the post.
Well, I suppose the first rule in rugby league is never let the ball bounce, because as we know too well, the oval ball sometimes hits the point, it bounces forwards, it bounces backwards, it can bounce any real way it wants. But Wakefield Trinity there from a good, really good build-up. Mark Conway then just behind acting half-back, put the bomb up in the air, and the bomb squad were there to defuse the bomb. It bounced onto the floor. Nigel Bell was quickly in on the act, scooped up the ball, ran at the Salford defence, they hung off him, he threw the dummy out, used, I think it was Fritz as the foil, and dived over just a couple of metres to the left-hand side of the post. So Wakefield Trinity, for the first time this afternoon then, in the lead, 12 points to 10, with a kick to come. And Mark Conway successfully, and so at 14 points to 10, marvellous comeback.
Yeah, they've started this second half well and got the points to show for it, but Steve, from a Salford point of view, should have killed that kick, really.
Oh yes, it looked as though Gibson just misjudged completely where it was coming down from. It came down almost with the snow on it. Obviously in the wing it was hanging, it was moving, and he just totally misjudged it. The bounce went kindly for Wakefield and they took full advantage of it, and that's great credit to them for doing that. But Salford, not the start that they would have wanted in this second half, when they went in. Well, 5 minutes before half-time, they were 10-0 up, and already 6 minutes into the second half, they found themselves 14-10 down. And the question is now whether they can regain themselves and recover that cohesion that they had in the first half, and not let Wakefield do what Widnes did to them and what Leeds did to them, and that is run away with the game. So it remains to be seen whether Salford can find their way back into it now.
Yes, Steve, they'll have to dig deep into the resources and stop the Wakefield roll that they've got themselves on now, as Billy Conway tries a little go from acting half-back. It's back to Mark Conway, who then tries a kick. It's kicking over to that right-hand side. You can see how the wind gets over the ball, and that didn't look like it was going to get all that distance there, David, from the kick, but it was amazing how far that ball did travel.
No, I think you'll see Conway pushing it into that top pocket there, because the wind is behind his back. It's blowing as we look from our commentary position towards the dugout side. So that's going to be where all the kicks are aimed in this afternoon, and Gibson and Ford are going to find themselves very, very busy towards the back end of this second half.
So it's Salford then. Wakefield in the lead by 14 points to 10. Still inside their own half, wanting desperately to get down to the Wakefield 20 so they can get some kind of attack on, as Stasic brings Blakely onto a nice little short ball, and that's a kick down, and that's going down towards the Wakefield 20 metre area, where Mosley picks up, just gets outside the 20 metre area. It's Bagnall gives it to Gary Spencer, centre field. Bagnall just had his arm knocked there as he was passing the ball, and Mason brings it away. So it's Billy Conway again to Gary Price, to Jeff Bagnall. Finds a little gap there and just held there, just couldn't quite get his pass out, looking dangerous. Big Fritz there gets the charge, spots a gap, going for it, gets over to halfway. I didn't see anything there, crowd oohing and ahhing as Bagnall puts a little kick in over towards that left-hand side of the field, and the ball's going to go in a touch just in the 20 metre line. Did you see anything there, David?
Not really. I mean, obviously Darren Fritz, big lad, he runs with a lot of aggression. He builds up a good head of steam before he charges at the Salford defence, but the Salford player there just went at the higher regions. Nothing over the shoulder, though, I may add, and I didn't see anything wrong with that tackle, Ian.
He's a big lad, he can take it. You've got to keep that aggression in rugby league, as Phil Ford comes away from him, gets to the 20 metre line, still moving it to this right-hand side, through Reid. Coleman shouting for the other way. Oh, very dangerous ball there. He floated out and thanks, Steve. Yes, hard to judge. Any point on this, David, where the forward passes and that?
Yeah, I think you just said the right thing, Ian. Robin Whitfield, and I think he'll appreciate what I'm going to say, is very experienced and probably not fit enough, Ian, to keep up with this 10-metre rule. You know, getting around to play the ball area and then having to make the 10 yards back to make the mark. So he's staying behind play, so it's going to obviously make it very difficult for him to spot the forward passes.
That was Jackson again making inroads, and David there nearly lost his voice shouting for that as Wakefield trying to creep in from round that acting half-back area, and that's the fifth and last, so that's going to be handover. But Jackson there putting a nice little ball into Phil Eden, and hit the centre, nearly crashed in over the line, so that was pull out all the stops there, Salford.
Yeah, maybe a little turning point, because in the previous 3 games Salford would have conceded that try, but not that time. They were really going to make sure that if they could stop the Wakefield Trinity players from scoring, that they were going to, and they did. So I think that was great determination on defence from Salford.
Yes, thanks, Steve. And Salford still in the 20-metre area. Then Coleman trying to get his side going, gets the ball back, centre going, but it's a back pass, is it? No, it's back to one. It touched a Wakefield player. There's Mr. Wakefield just making the signal there. So Salford then through Young. He's making a good straight run, but good yardage there from the Welsh prop. So it's Coleman again. People shouting forward, everything going, but Salford still keeping the ball alive. Inside to Tex Evans from Reid. He's got the ball away to Gibson. Gibson then, oh, that looked forward, but Billy Conway there, like an Harlem Globetrotter, David, plucking that out of the air.
He certainly was, Ian, but Billy Conway gets back in defensive situations where you would not find the normal hooker doing so. He's very, very agile on his feet, and he's a very, very fit young man, and he can get into most places.
So the game really buzzing at this moment, Steve. Good play there from Salford.
Excellent play from Salford. He came away with great determination to keep that ball moving, to keep it alive, and unfortunately it was just one pass too many, but great play from Salford. And there's a great offload.
So it's Mark Conway getting that from Paul Round, still going. Gets Big Fritz in the clear. Big Fritz still going, looking for the opening. Still going is Fritz. Stood up in the tackle. He's still going. He's still going. They're making me cough there, and Wakefield still keeping it alive. There's passes going everywhere. Looks like young Mosley's going to be in again. He is. But an astonishing run there from Big Fritz, David. All bouncing off him, still kept his feet, still regained his composure to keep the ball alive.
Well, it all started, Ian, from a little play the ball. It put Paul Round. Paul Round had Fritz on his outside, but he barged into the Salford defensive line and just managed to hold the ball long enough until Mark Conway came in support. Mark Conway was then backed up by Fritz. He used Fritz quite well, who was on his right-hand side, and he made that barnstorming run in one way, out the other, teasing the Salford defence. Managed to get the ball away to Nigel Bell, and Nigel Bellion almost tackled him on the deck, but somehow managed to slip the ball away, and the ball spun very, very fast across the line, and James Mosley was on hand to say thank you very much, and that's James' 3rd try in 2 games. He scored 2 against Hull on Wednesday night, and he's got 1 here against Salford, and Wakefield Trinity at the moment here 18 points to 10 in front now with the kick to come, and you wouldn't have thought that some 15 minutes before half-time when there were 10 points to 0 down. So Conway then approaching the ball, and the wind too strong, and it's taking it past the right-hand side of the post. But Ian, superb play.
Well, I hope so too. That was undoubtedly the try of the game so far. There were so many men involved. There was so much support from Wakefield Trinity at the end of it. More than one of several players could have scored. And it was partly because Salford, after all their attacking endeavours themselves, just couldn't put down those Wakefield men, the Wakefield forwards. Fritz in particular was just too strong for the Salford defenders. But 18-10, Salford not out of it yet, and certainly playing well enough, I think, to come back into this game.
Well, thanks, Steve. 18-10, as he says, and there's young Mosley there trying to make the break again. Plays the ball, and Billy Conway to Bagnall. Bagnall trying a little probe in there, but hasn't come off for him as much as it should today. As Billy Conway, he's found a gap for Mark Conway. Come on the burst there, Mark Conway. He's looking for the support, finds it in Billy Conway. They're going to go under this. He's going under the sticks. He's Billy Conway. He's got the pace of a half-back. So, as Steve was saying, Salford have been really blitzed in the last 5 or 10 minutes, and as it happened in the last previous matches. And what a superb break there from Mark Conway. Held it up. Billy Conway, who'd been the provider, then the supplier, and goes in with that pace at the side of the post, David.
Excellent play from Mark Conway, and I think he's enjoying a new lease of life. He played against Hull at the Boulevard on Wednesday night, and he had a reasonable game, did nothing wrong, and he's carried that form on into this game here this afternoon against Salford. And Salford at the moment on the end of a good hiding by Wakefield Trinity. They've come back well into this game from 10 points to 0 down, and they find themselves at the moment 22 points to 10 up with the kick to come. But an absolutely superb play there. It started with Billy Conway and it ended with Billy Conway diving over to the left hand side of the post, and Conway then tags on the extra 2 in, and that's 24 points to 10. And Steve, what are you going to say now in the defence of the Salford side?
Well, regrettably, what we're seeing is what we've seen over the last few games, and it's difficult just to say why. I mean, what is different about this second half than the first half? All of a sudden, Salford don't seem to have the answer to the Wakefield attacks. Wakefield now flowing so well with men in support, and Salford just not being able to take the man in possession and put him down. But this Salford side, they won't give up. They'll come back. They'll still give it all their all. I've no doubt about that. And a try before the end of the game isn't beyond them.
Right, thanks, Steve, and always the optimist is our Steve, or is it pessimist? I don't know which one, David. So it's Wakefield. From being 10-0 down, they've scored 24 points without reply, so that really does tell the story. And I suppose Kevin Tamati will be really looking at the Salford defence over the next few days just to see what he can do about it. So it's Wakefield then, deep inside their own half. As Big Fritz then tries to get on the charge, but that was a good tackle from it was Ackerman, I think it was, in the second row. Probably hurt himself a little bit at Wakefield then. Mosley gets it back inside, still playing good football, passing the ball anyway, and Jackson's made the break in centre field. There's support for Mason. Mason's looking for the overlap. Mason's going, gets it back inside. This is going to be another Wakefield try for Nigel Bell. Oh, what a try! It's going to bring the house down. It's a superb play. Wakefield now playing a brand of rugby we haven't seen for a long time, David. Flowing rugby, ball going everywhere, people in support. It's good to watch, and it's really warming the crowd up there in tremendous response.
You know, all teams and all players of other teams and coaching people think that only the likes of Wigan and probably St Helens and Castleford can score tries from anywhere on the park. But Wakefield Trinity this afternoon, as Ian said, have shown their own brand of football to the spectators, and anybody that wishes to buy these videos from either Salford or Wakefield Trinity, they're going to see Wakefield Trinity in full song, and they've scored some absolutely superb tries this afternoon, and none better than that one. Just on the closing stages of that try, then Mason took the Salford defence on, and it almost looked as if the cover of Ford and Gibson were going to knock him into touch, but Andy Mason looked inside, and there was Nigel Belly, and coming up to his testimonial year, I'm sure he's going to have a bumper testimonial for the work and effort that he's put in over the years that he's been here, and he managed to hold Ford off and dive over the line some 5 metres to the right hand side of the post. So Conway then again at 28 points to 10. A chance to add on the extra 2, which he does, and that's 30 points to 10 in Wakefield Trinity's favour, Ian. We wouldn't have thought it 5 minutes before half time, would we?
No, and they've scored 24 points. I was thinking about 24 minutes. It's been a point a minute, David, and Salford now, the floodgates have really opened, Steve, and you know, you wouldn't believe this game, would you, after that first half performance from Salford?
Well, it was the same at Leeds. Salford actually took the lead against Leeds in the second half, 14-12 up, 5 minutes into the second half, and finished up losing 38-14. and the same thing's happening here today. That Wakefield playing absolutely first-class rugby this second half. There's no doubt about it. A joy to watch, it has to be said, but Salford just not able to tackle them and put them down.
That's the crux of it all, Steve. They've got to make the defence count. It's got to be strong in the tackle and make sure that the ball doesn't get past in the tackle. So Wakefield then, everybody now will be wanting to handle the ball. Everybody will be wanting to get in on the act as Mark Conway inside his own 20. And Gary Price trying to get through there, shoving one man off, but it was David Young, I think, that made the tackle as Conway, and not quite getting that ball right, just skidded off the outside of the boot. He was trying to get it over to that right-hand side of the field. As Gibson gets the ball, and he shoved well back by the two Wakefield tacklers there of Eden and Bell. Nigel Bell being at everything this afternoon, David, and scored 2 great tries, and it's a long time since I've seen Nigel Bell score 2 tries in a match.
To be perfectly honest, Ian, it makes a change for Nigel to be on the end of a try-scoring pass rather than on the end of a try-saving tackle, because Nigel Bell, you can guarantee that if one of the Salford players breaks, the only Trinity player that's going to be there is Nigel Bell, and he's going to thwart him before he gets to the try line. But in this case, Nigel Bell scored 2 tries, and I'm sure all his admirers here at Bellevue, you know, they'll say that, well, it's been well deserved.
So that's back to 1 as Mr. Whitfield signals, and here come Salford on the charge. Can they get back into this game? And Wakefield, they'll probably know from the videos that in the last 3 minutes Castleford came back at him, and they'll probably be able to do in themselves that what they'll be able to take out from, but not with play like that. Losing possession there, just knocking it on, losing possession there when they had a chance to put a little bit of pressure on the Wakefield Trinity defence. Close to the 20-metre line over the far side now. Wakefield with the scrum, head and feed. Get possession. Gary Spencer gets it off Mark Conway. But Wakefield well into charge now at 30 points to 10. A real second half highlight, scoring 24 points in 24 minutes. And some of the Salford tackling will have to be tightened up, I feel. So Wakefield through Billy Conway is looking for that opening, tries to pass it, goes to hand, and Mr. Whitfield said that's gone back, and trying to let the game flow is Bagnall. Gives it inside to Paul Round. He's found a bit of a gap, looks for support, finds it. Wakefield then through Billy Conway. He's relishing the openings that's appearing now in the Salford defence. And here comes Bagnall, probably wanting to run it, puts a little kick in for Mark Conway, but goes straight to the Salford defence. I think it was Ackerman there that's out on the right hand side here. So it's Coleman probably trying to rally his troops and get them back down into the Wakefield 20, hoping it's Young then. Tireless worker, but it's more skill, and probably as they were playing it in the first 20 minutes, Salford, that they're looking for now. They're looking a little bit jaded, and the enthusiasm that they had in the play earlier on looks to have just deserted them a little bit. Coleman, and we're on the 5th and last. Over this side then, putting a little kick in for Evans. Jones, though, equal to the task, picks up, runs round him, still going as Jones inside, beats one man, beats another, still going as Jones, gets to the 20-metre line. To a good round of applause from the Trinity crowd. As Gary Spencer then makes another good 10 metres there from acting half-back, good yardage. Nigel Bell, 2-try scorer, looking for that hat-trick. It'd be a very good try if he scored one from there, David.
It certainly would, but nothing's beyond this man. You know, he can score tries from anywhere. And look at Fritz now, bursting up this side. I'm sure David Topless will be pleased, Ian, with this second half performance so far.
I'm sure he will, David, yes. Surely turn it round. It must have been a That's a knock on or forward pass, whichever Mr. Whitfield wants to do, as Salford are wanting to make a substitution. Looks like it's Ackerman that's going off. He got a little bit of a knock earlier on, and so Salford then moving it, got a gap through Gibson on the left. Ford with probably his first running chance he's had all afternoon from a pass. And here comes Salford, still coming forward, still trying to get back into the game. 30 points to 10 down. It's Markley there, and Salford penalised there, kicking out at the play of the ball. Mr. Whitfield spotting that. Was Bagnall who received the knock, and Wakefield wanting to make a substitution now. It looks like Richard Slater and Mark Webster are going to come back on, David.
Yes, that's right, Ian. I think Darren Fritz is coming off. He's had a superb game. He's done nothing wrong. It's purely tactical. David Topless thinks with about 10 minutes to go that 30 points to 10 is an unassailable lead, and he's brought Fritz off and Gary Price for a well-deserved rest. And into the fray then is Mark Webster. He was substituted in the first 20 minutes of the game. A tactical substitution, no doubt. Topless now using his substitutes well. And Richard Slater back from injury, and he's taking the ball up now. Or was going to take the ball up there.
Yes, just using him as a foil, and probably looking for his first touch of the ball there. As Mark Webster then takes it up. So here they come again to Wakefield. As Jackson takes it, Jackson going, Jackson bursting through, but I think he was impeded just by his own man there, probably Phil Eden, but a beautiful run from Jackson as Wakefield come with Gary Spencer. Another short ball there for Wakefield, getting short to that line now. They're about just a metre short. What's it going to be? But getting caught there.
Gets in too much.
It's Gary Spencer just trying to get in there, and Bagnall looking for that short ball. Ball's going to drift, and Salford manager to come away with it, and Wakefield just overdoing it a little bit, David, close to that line.
Yes, that's right. Out of camera shot was a superb deep Wakefield Trinity line that was crying out for the ball to be quickly sped out here to David Jones. Evans was well in field with that tight soldier type defence, and if the ball had come out fast, Jones was in at the corner.
Just a word about Jackson. That's some devastating runs this afternoon, David. Looked a little bit back to his best form.
Obviously, when a player's been out of the game for as long as what Jackson has, it obviously takes him a while to get back into the full swing of things, and I feel now that Michael Jackson's back to his best.
So it's Salford then, seen more of the play than they did in the first 24 minutes, but not actually breaking the Trinity defence. Markley, who's got a little bit of a head bandage on there, and Stasiker found himself out on this wing, and now it's Gibson. We're on the fifth and last, so is it going to be a high kick towards Mr. Whitfield sees nothing wrong in that. Is it going to be the fifth and last? No, he said the Wakefield player touched the ball. So it's chance for Salford to put pressure on the Wakefield defence, and that's Richard Slater's first probably involvement in the game, making that tackle there. But Salford probably not giving up the ghost yet, think they've got a chance, and over the last 5 or 10 minutes they've got back into the game. They've steadied themselves. They're on the end of 24 points in 24 minutes, and that's enough to ruin any side's confidence. And there they come again, keeping the ball alive just as Wakefield did, and has it paid off for them? It could be Ford in at the corner, is it? Yeah, Ford's in there, so that has paid off for them, David, and I'll just bring Steve in. He must be pleased about that, Steve, after that 24-point blitz.
Certainly, and some consolation there for Salford, and again some sign that Salford themselves can play the rugby when they put their minds to it. Wakefield perhaps relaxing a little bit at this stage in the game, but it really was a tremendous build-up from Salford from the midway right over to this right-hand side of the field. On the sixth tackle, the kick came and Salford managed to get the possession back, and the play continued, and there was certainly very bright passing over that far side, and Phil Ford on the end of the final pass was able to go round his opposite winger and in about halfway to the touchline to bring some sort of respectability for the score. But the game regrettably now obviously out of Salford's reach, and Salford can only think of next Wednesday. Very, very important relegation battle against Lee at the Willows, a game that Salford really do have to win if they're going to stay in the first division at the end of this season.
These sides are going to meet in a few weeks' time in the Challenge Cup at Salford, David, so they'll get to know one another over the next few weeks, and should be interesting contest, should that.
It certainly should. I mean, Kevin Tamaty's had an excellent view today of what the opposition's going to be like on that particular day. So, you know, he won't be too happy if things at the Willows are the same as they are today. But how do a team stop open, flowing rugby like Wakefield have produced this afternoon, Ian?
You've just got to get your defence and get it sorted out, and hopefully stop the man with the possession and stop him getting out. So it's Salford probably gaining a little bit of confidence from that try, just lifted them a little bit, and they have come back into the game in the last 10 minutes after that blitz. And that's Ford again, and as in the first half, players going over to that far side as Mark Lee puts that kick down to the bottom 20-metre area where Wakefield are defending, the dressing room end of the field, and the crowd gone a little bit silent, David, after that first 24 minutes when it was so exciting. They nearly lifted the roof of the stand-up.
It certainly did, and everybody was buzzing, and as you say, it's quite quiet at the moment, and that's because Wakefield Trinity haven't scored for about 10 minutes or so, but they won't be disappointed with the performance that the lads have put in today. They've really given their all, certainly from about 10 minutes before half-time, and from there on after, Wakefield Trinity have been in total command, and Salford really haven't been anywhere near. And can Mosley go the length? Can Mosley go the length, Ian? He's taking Ford on, but he's just not quite got the legs on him.
No, every time he gets the ball and he ought to got hold of the mic, he seems to do something, David. There must be something in it. As you say, took that ball beautiful from the scrum, spotted the gap, and Ford's been penalised for holding down. Not putting the sin bin, probably not thought of that. Might have even tried probably dragging him into touch. That might have been the decision, Steve.
Yes, probably. Bats Ford, well, he's got an old head on his shoulders, and he knew that he was the last man in defence. He wanted to waste a bit of time then while the defenders got back.
Yes, he did right. And so Wakefield then still trying to get that ball away, but this time it goes to Salford, and they're on the counter again. So Wakefield just not settling it, being in control, and just giving Salford more of the play than they should have, as Slater picks up the ball that Gibson dropped. So now they'll be able to counter-attack themselves, and that looks like that's going to be a penalty. Mark Lee there, just shoving Jackson down at the play of the ball. Shouldn't interfere at the play of the ball. No need to do that, David.
No, certainly not, and with his side being 16 points adrift at the moment, you would have thought that he'd been wanting play to go on rather than being punished and taken deep into his own 20.
So here come Wakefield now. They're 15 metres from the Salford line. That's Mark Webster taking it up strong. He gets to within 3 or 4 metres of the Salford line, working a little move here, and that looks a try. That's definitely a try. Powder-packed try there for Paul Round, busting through like a big tank there, David. Centurion tank going straight through that defence.
Powder pack in, did you say?
I meant power.
He meant power pack, and we know he did, and that's certainly of what Paul Round's got plenty of, and that's power. And he came through off a lovely little short ball from Billy Conway there, and he took about 3 or 4 Salford defenders who were grabbing at his shirt tops here and there, and they just couldn't quite get hold of him, and Paul Round put the ball down.
Hopefully not, but I know Kevin Tamaty will look at these and he'll probably try and get something positive out of today's performance from a Salford point of view, Steve. So, I mean, at one stage in that first half, they were looking good, but as you say, like over the last 4 or 5 matches, they've folded, and they have certainly folded this afternoon.
That's right. 5 second-half tries is really too many to concede in a whole game, let alone in the second half. And if it was just one game, then that's understandable. But now for it to be 4 consecutive matches, then that has to be a serious cause of concern, I'm sure, for everybody associated with the club.
Thanks, Steve. And I didn't quite grasp who was the Wakefield man of match, did you, David? I was told it was Jeff Bagnall, which comes as a bit of a surprise to me, David.
Yeah, I mean, he's always a busy little player, but I don't think he deserves anything close to the man of the match today. I think the forwards have done it all, Ian. I think Fritz and Round have been exceptional. Nigel Bell's been great, and Michael Jackson's back to his best form. I don't think a back's in the running this afternoon. I think it should have been given to a forward, and I think Paul Rounds deserved it, Ian, for the way that he took hold of the game when he come on.
Well, my man of the match should have been Michael Jackson, David. I disagree with you. I think he's done some storming runs. His defence has been very sound, and I think he's had a smashing game. And Billy Conway there just waiting for Mr. Whitfield's whistle. He knows himself is knocked on. That you've got to play to the whistle. As Steve says, Salford got a crunch match in midweek against Lee, and they'll be hoping for 2 points. It's every game now in the first division is so vital, and the 2 points today that Wakefield's got will lift them up the table a little bit. They have played 16 matches, but you've got to get the points on the board and up that table, David.
That's right, because everybody else in front of you, they're winning as well. So the only way to keep clear of the relegation zone and to obviously enhance your chances of a top 8 spot is to keep winning. And you've got to win games at home more than anything. And Wakefield Trinity have certainly done that in fine style. So they've scored 5 points in out of a possible 6 in the last 3 games.
Salford looking dangerous there over that far side of the pitch. It looked like they were in with a chance to score again, and they have had opportunities to score this afternoon. It's the defence in letting Wakefield score the tries that's let them down, and looks like Richard Slater's got a knock there. He's limping. An overlap here for Wakefield. Paul Round rubbing. Paul Round, he's still going. He's got inside ball to Conway. Ball goes behind him, but Mr. Whitfield's going to give a neck on. But that was a golden opportunity for Wakefield to score again, David.
Paul Round changed into 5th gear there, Ian, as he just came out of his 20-metre line and almost managed to make it up to the halfway before he decided to put the pass inside where Conway and Mason were waiting. The ball just went a little bit too high and a little bit too far behind him, Conway, and he just couldn't quite hold it, because if he had done, I'm sure Mark would have drawn the cover defence and slotted it to his stocks and shares partner, Andy Mason, and Mason would have made no mistake in going the remainder of the distance to the line.
Salford attacking down this right-hand side. That's Evans trying a little kick. I think it hit David Jones. So it's going to be still a Salford scrum with head and ball. Richard Slater's limped off the field and looks like he's gone straight into the dressing room, and Gary Price has come back on. So I hope it's not too serious for Richard as Salford move it over to that far side, and the passing there across the Salford 3/4 line, Steve, let a lot to be desired there as the hooter goes.
When it doesn't go right, it does go wrong, doesn't it just? But a fine win for Wakefield Trinity without a doubt, and we look forward to the next encounter between these 2 clubs in the cup in 3 weeks' time, and we wish Salford every success on Wednesday in the vital relegation battle against Lee. But well played, Wakefield, today.
Thanks, Steve. From a Salford point of view, they must be totally devastated after that first half performance, but Wakefield then from half time got into gear, David, and really finished the match well and were in control all this second half, and a beautiful result for them. Good 2 points, and sets them up then for the cup encounter at Salford.
That's right, and with the exception of the OKR game over the last few weeks, Wakefield Trinity have shown some real sterling rugby, and any team or any team's coach that wants to... we've got a bit of echo on that. You want to cut that off? Any team's coach that has a look at this video and uses it to form a game plan to play against Wakefield Trinity are going to have to look very, very hard, and they're going to have to look at some defensive ploys to stop this machine rolling, because at the moment Wakefield Trinity playing superb football. So our next game then is, I don't know. I've forgotten.